What is going on, guys? Popsy back from the video for you guys, and today I'm bringing you a Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game video. I know most, if not actually all of my Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos have been Duel Links videos so far, but like I mentioned in some of those videos, I've actually gotten back in the TCG for the first time in about 5 years. Now, I've been to locals 3 or 4 times since I've came back. Luckily, the deck I built 5 years ago was Mermail's, which is somewhat still relevant, which is nice. Definitely capable of doing well at a locals or a regional. So I just want to showcase my deck, and of course, if you guys like this and want to see some more Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game content on top of the Duel Links content, let me know in the comments down below. Now, I did manage to make top 8 of my locals, the last one that we had a few days ago, which is kind of cool. Although, disclaimer, I did have a bye. I went 0-2, got a bye, won, and then made top 8 at 8th place at, I think it was an 18-person local. So not the most impressive thing, but I'm pretty happy with it considering it is only my 3rd locals back. So, getting into the deck, it's a pretty standard Mermail deck now. Unfortunately, the extra deck is a bit wonky. You'll see it in a bit. But the main deck is pretty much complete. There's only like maybe 1 or 2 cards I would change. So, first up, Moon Glacia. Don't need too much explaining. Very, very good in this deck. Obviously, it's good for the discard, but I find myself a lot of times just summoning it and then linking away, which is really helpful because sometimes that extra monster can help you a lot. You do have to skip your battle phase if you do that, but it's an extra monster that's always nice. Next up, 2 Megalo. I only have 2. Would I play 3 if I had a 3rd? I'd definitely try it out. However, I've never really found myself in a situation wishing I had a 3rd. You can search this so easily off of Dragoons. I definitely want to test a 3rd, but it's a pretty expensive card. It's like 20 bucks, so I don't really want to pay for a 3rd. I could get the ugly rare version, but it just looks too weird. Next up, I have 3 Mermail Abyss Teus. Arguably the best Mermail because it just searches and it's off of 1 discard. So many plays start with this card. It's a level 7. You can go into Abyss Gaios or Galaxy Tomahawk. There's an extra link you can do with this card. It's just so good. Next up, I have 2 Abyss Pike, for the rest of the Mermails, I guess. 2 Abyss Pike, 2 Abyss Gun, 1 Turge, and 1 Abyss Dine. Now, Pike, a lot of people play at 1. I like it at 2, especially going forward, because I do play Gen X Undyne, and Gen X Undyne is really good with Christian Needle Fiber. So in the future, when we get that, I feel like playing 2 Pike might be better, because you can search for Gen X Undyne, which is very good. 2 Guns, people play 1, some play 3. I like 2. I find myself siding 1 out a lot because I don't really use it that much, to be honest. I feel like the card I search most off of Teus is Abyss Dine, which you don't really see played too often anymore in Mermails. I like it a lot because you search it off of any... If it's searched basically from a Mermail monster, or if it's added from your graveyard to your hand by a Mermail like Turge, you special summon it. So you can go summon Teus, search this special, and it's a free monster, which I like a lot. And then Turge, I'm testing this out. I've actually never used it in an actual duel. Never drew it. I sided out a lot. In theory, it's good in the mid to late game because it's just another card you can use to discard. You can use to bring back your Don and use it again. You can get back a gun if you so need it. Very good card. I like it a lot. Granted, that's all theory, but if I actually drew it, I'm sure it'll be pretty decent. Next up, arguably the best normal summon in the deck. We got the 3 Prince, and I'll put Diva here too because Diva almost always gets you your Prince. Prince, summon it, send a Sea Serpent, or send an Atlantean, add an Atlantean. Such a good card. I use its discard effect a lot. When it's discarded from the hand, special summon an Atlantean from the graveyard besides another copy of itself. You pitch this, special Dragoons, link away. Very good. People, my locals, people kind of forgot that that was a thing, which is nice. I'm granted Mermail's the most relevant deck. They probably don't see it a lot, but I love this card so much. Next up, 3 Dragoons, which is at 3 again, which is cool because when I last played, I think it was at 1. So having it at 3 is really nice. Just having the 3rd one opens up so many more plays because if you use your Prince to send a Dragoons and add a Dragoons, you still have other Dragoons to play with, which is very nice. So if you open with one, it's not as bad. In the past, and again, this is just from what I've seen from other people's videos because I haven't played in 5 years, but in the past when you only had 2, it wasn't as good because if you open one, you couldn't really do the most optimal Netabis plays. Granted, Netabis is also good because you can just have pretty decent removal because you can just send Marksman or 2 Infantry. And then next up, the other Atlanteans I have are going to be the 2 Infantry and 1 Marksman, excuse me. I was playing 2 Marksman, I cut it out for a card I'll show later. At locals, I was playing the 2nd one, and I just feel like I sided 1 out a lot, and I very rarely use its effect. And when I did, I hit like a reincarnation or something. Because at locals, I played 2 Gokis, 2 Sky Strikers, so it was all meta. And I don't think Marksman is really too great against those. Sure, against Sky Strikers, you could hit the stuff that they set off engage or something like that. Well, I think Infantry is better. Infantry's extra normal summon is actually really nice. There are times where I summon this, summon another Sea Serpent, and then link away. And that's one thing I like about this deck a lot, is that there's a lot of extenders. Like, you could just have a combo and be like, oh, hey, I'm in the middle of my combo, but I have an extra normal summon. That's pretty cool. I might try to put a 2nd Marksman in again, because I feel like it's just one of those things where I just like having, I just like knowing I have back row removal, because there are going to be options or situations where you play against a rogue matchup that plays a lot of back row. So that will be nice, especially since I play Sekka's Light and I don't play any other back row removal in terms of spell and traps. So next up, the card I love and hate the most in this deck, Gen X Undyne. Very good card. Now I'm going to play one controller. You could send it back with Sekka's Light if you draw it, which is really nice. Does kind of suck because you can only use Gen X Undyne once. The other two are pretty much just discard cards. But this card, you can summon this, send your Christian Rosenix, add controller, use Rosenix effect, banish from the graveyard, get a token, link into Link Spider, special this, and then just go off from there. If you have like a Teus in hand or a way to summon Megalo. I like this a lot. Sekka's Light made it better. In the past, I absolutely hated playing Gen X Undyne because you were forced to play controller, which was just a brick. I know in the past people like to play Allure of Darkness. I'm talking like 5 years, by the way. People play Allure of Darkness. I just opted to play 2 controllers because if you drew one, you can still use it. Although it is nice that Gen X controller isn't as much of a brick, thanks to things like Sekka's Light and Link Spider being able to special summon it. Next up, we have the Frogs, which I absolutely love in this deck. I've been considering playing a Dupe Frog or something like that. I'm only playing these. The basic lineup, 3 swap, 1 Ronin Totem. Access to Totally Awesome is really good because there's just a lot of situations where you summon Totally Awesome and basically win, and I like that a lot. It's another discard outlet, which is very good. It's a 1-card discard outlet, which is really good because there are times with Megalo where you don't want to discard 2 cards because you want to have the hand advantage, but you have to discard 2 cards to get, say, your Nimble Angler off or something like that. Pretty standard. I like this guy a lot. Then next up, I have the Nimbles, which are going to be triple Angler, 1 Sunfish, 1 Manta. Now, Nimble Beaver is definitely the better one to play over Manta. I just don't have it. These two, the Sunfish and the Manta, are honestly just names. You know what Nimble Angler does when it's discarded, or sent to the graveyard anyway, actually, even from the deck. You could special summon 2 Nimble water monsters besides another copy of itself, being the Sunfish and the Manta. Now, yes, the other 2 are dead once you use one of them. That's not really that big of a deal. You also play Sekka's Light to shuffle these back, which is nice. Although, Nimble Manta, more so than Sunfish, found its way in my hand quite a lot. I don't know what it is, but it was kind of annoying. I also opened like double Angler a lot, which was annoying. Like, that's one thing with this deck that I really hate is I feel like I opened like 2 of the same card a lot, and I feel like, I don't know, I think with Mermail you should like, have to shuffle better. I don't know. And the last card, I saw some people playing this, and I'm going to try it out. I haven't actually tested it yet. 1 Fishboard Launcher. It is a level 1 fish tuner. Basically, if it's in your graveyard, you can special summon it if all the other monsters are water, but you banish it once removed from the field. And if you synchro with it, you have to synchro for a water, which isn't really that relevant. Just a free summon. You go to Linkuriboh. Linkuriboh is going to be reprinted in the in the starter deck coming out in I think this weekend or something like that. So that's pretty cool. That'll make this card a lot more live. And basically, that's pretty much why I'm playing this, is because once I get Linkuriboh, I can Linkuriboh a lot easier with this. And then last, 3 Sekka's Light. Very good. You know, this card says draw 2 cards. Generally speaking, that's a good thing. Draw 2 cards, then what's in your graveyard. You can banish it to shuffle a card in your hand back into the deck. That helps with bricking. Shuffle back your controllers, shuffle back your Nimbles, shuffle back your Abyssdine. If you want to shuffle back a dead card, just so you can get another draw, which, although it's a little bit risky, as you can just draw into the controller. There are times where I send a controller and draw a Manta, which kind of sucks. So extra deck, again, disclaimer, this is not the best extra and side deck. I am coming back to the game. I don't have too many Link monsters. I don't have Firewall. I don't have Sort of Yugioh, stuff like that. But this is what I am playing, and it's working out okay. So 1 Abyssgaios, I like it a lot. This won me a game against Sky Strikers, which is very, very nice because I can just negate all their monsters' effects. You can't Candina. You can't really do too much because all your monsters are less than 2000 attack. 1 Galaxy Tomahawk is the other level 7 XYZ. Summon it, get a bunch of tokens, and then Link. That's pretty good. Now I have 1 Underclock Taker just because it points down. There is a combo that you could extra link with this deck, but it is really hard to pull off because you need a lot of cards. And it's not the most reliable thing because 1 hand trap and you're kind of screwed. Although, to this deck's credit, there were, I think, I got drolled so many times this weekend. I don't know why. But I got drolled like 2 or 3 times, and there was some times where I was still able to make a decent board with Toad, because thankfully with Swap Frog, you don't have to actually search and add cards from your deck to your hand, you send them to the grave. So shout out to Swap Frog for allowing me to play around the droll and lock rarities. And then I have the Nightmares, Cerberus, Goblin, Phoenix. Don't have Unicorn, I'm not playing Griffin. I will consider playing Griffin because I don't have only 4 and it's relatively cheap. Although I think I might end up playing Dumbledore until Firewall gets reprinted, which I believe is being reprinted in the Megatins, which should be pretty cool. Basically, once the Megatins come out, actually will be a lot better. But the Goblins, or the Phoenixes, what am I saying? The Nightmares, pretty standard, very, very good. Goblin allows you to extra link, and of course the other 2 Phoenixes just for spot removal. Very nice. 1 Starboy. Don't really need to explain that. It's not the best board you can make, but there's a lot of situations where you just summon Starboy, get a Toad. There's a few situations where I summon Starboy, get a Toad, and a Gyos. That is even nicer. I like this a lot. Once the Mermail Link monster comes out, I feel like Starboy would be cut for that just because it's a pretty similar card, except it does more, the Mermail Link monster. Granted, the Mermail Link monster only gains attack to monsters it points to, while this gains attack to all your water monsters. But this card kind of screwed me a bit because I forget the name of the card, but one of the Sky Striker links is a water, so it gained attack, and that kind of screwed me a little bit. Then I have Link Spider. Need this for the combo with Genix Controller and Christian Rosenick. You could also use Link Spider from a token off of Galactic Tomahawk if you really need to, which is nice. And this is needed to Extra Link because I don't have Link Creep. If I had Link Creep, like Extra Link a lot better. And as a new player, not a new player, as a returning player, I love Link monsters, and I want to Extra Link and summon as many Link monsters as possible because I think they're cool. One Brionac, because I have the room for it, and I can summon it with Diva and with any level 4, which actually, I think every locals that I've been to, I summon Brionac at least once, and it bailed me out. Very good card, not so people expect it. Since it's a water monster, you do get the effects off the discards, which is nice. And I just like it a lot. It bails me out of sticky situations, and I don't want to cut it from the extra deck. I want to keep it as long as I possibly can. But I know once I get like Yugioh, Firewall, stuff like that, it will be cut, unfortunately. Then one Toad, very, very good. By the way, people don't realize, you don't have to tribute Toad itself to negate an effect. You could tribute any water monster on the field, or any Aqua on the field, excuse me, or discard an Aqua. So that means you could discard like a Tay or something like that, which is actually really useful. You'd also detach in the standby phase, add a Frog if you need to, just to deck them a bit, which isn't too bad. One Decode, I like never summon this, but I just feel like I need it because it's a pretty good generic Link 3 that could have a high attack step it's pointing to monsters. It's pretty decent. I might end up cutting it because I don't really summon it a lot, but that's not. One Proxy, I don't summon this a lot either. When I didn't have Nightmare Goblin, I summoned it more. But this is nice because there is an extra link combo where you can't summon Nightmare Goblin because Nightmare Goblin needs 2 monsters with different names, while Proxy Strike needs to use 2 tokens with the same name, which is nice. And some in the middle and an extra link. One Trigate, there is a way you could Trigate, which is nice. It's technically a -1. Like, I found out a Trigate combo. I'm sure there's others out there because Mermail is a crazy deck. And I found out a Trigate combo, and then I realized it's kind of just a -1 because you end with 4 cards on field and a negate, which might be a neutral if you consider that because you have 4 cards and then negate. Trigate's good. I don't summon it a lot. Might end up being cut once I get better Link monsters like Yugioh, like Firewall, stuff like that. One Bahamut, and these cards are definitely getting cut, by the way. Bahamut and Curious, the Lightsworn Dominion, because I don't have any other good Link monster to play besides this. So Bahamut Shark, this was more relevant when I played Aqua Spirit. If you play Aqua Spirit, I think Bahamut Shark is a lot better. You could even play 2 Toads with that because you could get Toad a lot easier. But Bahamut Shark, like, I can never summon it unless I have like a Dragoons and a Pike on the field or 2 Dragoons on the field, which I never do. It's not that great. Transversely, if I played Firewall, it'd be easier to play, but I don't have Firewall. So this would, basically the plan is, cut this for Link Rebo, cut this for Gumblar or some other Link 4 that I could get, hopefully, at my next locals this weekend. There's a sneak peek in 2 weeks too, so maybe another Link 4 will come out on that. I think there's rumors of the Mermail Link coming out on that, which is kind of nice. So maybe that'll come out. And then Curious. This card's kind of weird. You summon it with 3 monsters with the same attribute with different types, so it's kind of hard to summon, but it is doable. And when it's summoned, you send a card from your deck to the graveyard, so you could send Nimble Angler and get the effect off, which is nice. Never pulled it off. In theory, it's good. Summoned it once. It's going to get cut. I just don't have anything else better to play. And the side deck, which is pretty janky as well, but it's the best that I have. So I have 2 Crow, because I don't have any other hand traps. I don't have Ash Blossoms. I have the 1 Marksman, or the 2nd Marksman, I should say, in case I need it. I'm also siding the Dweller and the Mermaid because I feel like they're cards that you kind of have to side. Now, like I said earlier about Bahamut Shark, it is kind of hard to get a rank 4 out, but Abyss Dweller is just too good in some matchups that you have to play it. And then Nightmare Mermaid because Ibli is a thing. That's really the only reason. You could play Nightmare Mermaid in the main. I don't know. Like, I guess I could cut Curious for it, but I never found myself ever needing to summon this in, like, the 3 locals that I've been back, so I guess I'll just leave it in the side for now, just in case. Raigeki when I side out, the Sekka's Light, triple Effect Veiler because I don't have Ash Blossom, and then triple Call by the Grave again when I side out the Sekka's Light. These come in a lot. Against a Sky Striker deck, I just won because I had both of these in my opening hand. I Veilered him and then Call by the Grave. There's really not much you could do, which is really, really nice. Very satisfying to beat Sky Strikers because, I don't know, I don't think Sky Strikers is a degenerate deck, but since it's always satisfying beating the best deck in the format when you're playing a rogue deck. That's what I'm trying to say. One Abyss Scale, which again is good against the Skyshift matchup to negate the first spell they activate. Granted, you can't choose what spell you negate, it just negates the first one they activate, but it forces them to basically waste a card. I played against somebody who, I had this on the field and they played Desires. Banished 10, and that's it. So that was kind of weird. And I ended up winning that game because they banished stuff that they needed, which is nice. And then 2 Prohibition, which is random. Somebody at my locals recommended that I play this because they don't have too many cards, basically. And I had Prohibitions. You play this card, you call the name of a card, your opponent cannot play that card. Use this against Gokis, they couldn't summon a Zold. I still lost the game, but it made it a lot harder for me because you couldn't summon a Zold. So that is the side deck. Again, I'm not claiming to be the best Mermail deck out there. There's definitely better builds. I think the main deck is very, very close to what it should be. A third Megalo, you could definitely make that argument. There's 1 or 2 cards that I would like to change, mainly being the Turge and possibly the Fishborg. But I have to test it out at locals, see how it goes next week. Because last week I think it did pretty decent. So that's the deck. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to see more some Yugioh TCG stuff. Subscribe if you're new. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time. And bye-bye.